Back from Father Joe's, they have apparently it's a loofah, like Bill O'Reilly says, things with the loofah or falafel or put your pipe down, get my pipe. I'm looking if they have a comb. I don't see one. Oh, this is a comb. So I mean, I need to get my first paycheck. We got to get a job. Oh, that's a white comb here, so I can get some hair product and get a haircut, really good haircut. Get the set, and then I shouldn't have to use even a comb. I should just, but the hair's got to be. How do you? Okay, so that looks like Hitler or something. It's not parted very well in the right place. Okay, whatever. So here's what we're gonna do. I want to talk about my shit. I did promise I was going to talk about my shit. So I took this video here at the trolley stop at San Diego State University yesterday. And this is my shit in the toilet you're looking at. And it's a big, hearty, fresh, juicy, bold, fresh shit. And you look at it, you just see it shiny that way. You can just see, if you look at from the angle, etc., that it just, and it's coming out, different experts on shit would say different things about it. Maybe it's too watery, but you know your body, and this is a good shit. And some of the perspective or some of the it's distorted in terms of you can't really tell, because when you take a picture of your shit, because of the field of view, and it's just done with a cell phone camera, but because of the field of view, I tried to zoom in a little bit so it was an ultra wide angle, but it still makes it look too small in the toilet. And this wasn't the biggest log I've ever had. But in a toilet like this, it's a larger toilet, great facility there for the MTS, the transit riders at the SDSU trolley stop. It's a larger bowl, and so it just doesn't quite. But it was a big shit, and that's the shit you want. So I was saying in my video yesterday when we were making the Waywar, Once I Was a Reporter X10, talking about the 10th anniversary edition, kind of reminiscing about in that case Courtney Teague. We put up that episode. I was saying we are gonna talk about our shit, and so this is what we're doing. And told a little bit of the story. So just to recap, when I was in jail, so we're gonna talk about shit in jail because this is about food in jail. And the problem with it when I was incarcerated is that you start getting these trays. They taste terrible. They're completely bland, and you get used to it. A lot like that. I think if you were to ask the deputies or the jail guards, wherever you are in the country, about these jails, if they walk into a jail, immediately it smells like shit. As soon as it smells like shit, it does. And, so what I was doing was I had gotten a hold of, they had this Kosher tray, and it had probably too many calories than I needed, but because of the particular arrangement they had, it was peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the morning, and for lunch and for dinner, which was peanut butter jelly sandwich, peanut butter jelly sandwich, peanut butter jelly sandwich, and they gave you a tortilla and 3 globs of peanut butter wrapped up individually. So I got a hold of the Kosher tray, and at dinner they'd give you like a stew or something like that. It was good. It was. I mean, it was as good as it could be. So especially for breakfast, you'd have 3 or 4. You get a lot of peanut butter in the morning. 4 peanut butters, 3 for lunch. You save some. Play a little bit of barter or whatever, and they say, oh, you're not supposed to. And so because I got a hold of the Kosher tray, and I was kind of getting into that right rhythm of consume the calories. I probably should have discarded 1 bag, but consume the calories. Now you're keeping an eye on your weight also. I was as often as I could through the medical staff there. And it's another story, a separate story entirely, about how this was during the Biden era, and so they had the ICE inmates, and so they had to have a really, really good. I was very lucky, but toward the tail end of my incarceration, right around when Kamala Harris lost the election to Donald Trump, we got rid of the contract. I think it was just a little before we knew the outcome of the election. We got rid of the contract. Nye County said we're no longer going to have ICE inmates there, and so they got rid of the very extensive medical staff that they have. It wasn't anything near what I need. I need presidential level health care, but now, put in for if you want to get a weigh-in or whatever for a little while. They had nurses from Desert View Hospital coming in while they were figuring out what are we going to do. And then the last couple of weeks that I was there before I finally was released, they had finally their more stable long-term staff to replace what was called Serenity Health, and it was absolutely just people that need AIDS medication. Here's your AIDS medication, but they weren't going to bring in a full-time doctor kind of thing, from what it looked like to me. And they had outsourced at the time a nurse practitioner that was now they can do anything. It used to be, you got to be a doctor, your nurses practice under you. Now they can do anything. They can come in with a nurse practitioner that's part of a medical doctor service. It's supervised by some medical doctor in an office somewhere in Henderson or Summerlin or anywhere you're at. Just imagine it. It's stuff we're starting to see. So this practitioner comes in. Nothing's like it used to be in terms of oversight. So they find a corporate way around what you think are your traditional protections of the person that is treating me and is prescribing a medication to me is a medical doctor, but this person is just a practitioner that's part of it was called a physician service. So they outsource them, and the nurses, and they're not even nurses, that are dispensing medications inside of the jail, they're not technically practicing under the same hood as that doctor. It isn't like real estate brokerages when you get become a registered nurse, where it's like, well, you gotta be under the same doctor in the same brokerage house. So the doctor's the broker and you're the agent, and so you practice under that. But it's just you always follow the instructions of the doctor because you're being supervised by medical doctors if you're a nurse. But I mean, it's just very there's a physician service, and then there's your bill, and then who knows how good these people are, but that's what we were seeing toward the tail end there. So it's an interesting thing to think about. But I was putting in for weigh-ins as much as possible. So what I was able to do was get it to where I was doing as much exercise with floor exercise. I said I developed a hernia in there. But enough time goes on, and you realize, it's not that a hernia heals itself, but that you can kind of get used to it. And by having a hernia, you learn to continue the core exercises and the push-ups while holding up your own core, kind of like. So it just makes you stronger. And it's not a reason to stop. And my doctor said, that we're going to be able to go in and put a little bit of mesh in there when you're skinnier. After I've lost 80 pounds, I put on. But that was put on after I was taken to the mental institution, injected with Haldol. So we are now taking things in the right direction. Like I said, I got here to San Diego, and we've actually lost a belt notch since we got here, drinking more water. And things are great because it's a lot cooler than Hawaii by about 10 degrees and less humid. But we are entering the hottest season of the year. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo, do I go to LA, San Diego, LA, San Diego? Well, it ended up being we could get on a plane to San Diego, and here we are. So we know San Diego, so lucky me. We know LA too. Are you a Dodgers fan? Are you a Padre? Dodgers fan? Are you a Padre? Southern California is Southern California. All I know about it is the girls in San Diego are milk, and the girls in LA are honey. So back to the main point about my shit that you were looking at is in jail there's something. So you got this stainless steel toilet sink, you can call it to be all dramatic. We have to drink water from our toilets, but it's what it is. So the thing can actually, if you're taking hearty good shits like the one you're looking at, back up to where someone, from what we were told, and this is what I saw in my experience, would have to reset. So they have to send a deputy back to the, it's like Shawshank Redemption, and there's a hall in the back, and they go through. They have to find your, cell. I don't know what it looks like back there. I should look up. This was an octagon jail. This was one of these, facilities. And so they would go behind the cells. There's on both levels. There's a utility hall, and back there, they would have to, what they say, reset your toilet. Okay. It can be different facility to facility, but a lot of jails are made based on that kind of standard template. So they'd have to go back there and reset the toilet when your shit started to get too good. My shits were very good. And so they'd bring in this, so they'd have the inmate workers bring in for you a bucket and a plunger. Because I took, 3 or 4 good hearty shits like that, thing backs up and the thing's overflowing into. So thankfully I had a disciplinary cell kind of for that reason, because I was taking so many hearty shits like that. What am I going to do about this for a great portion of the time? But if I had like a cellmate or something, you're going to get a lot of complaints. What I was doing was just shitting. So they would give me a styrofoam tray with the kosher meal in it. So I would just eat the food, and then I'd shit in the tray. I would shit in the styrofoam tray, just squat over it, spread my ass cheeks right up against the cell door, and shit in the tray. And then I'd close the tray, and but that's why I was talking about how it smells like shit in there anyway, you get used to the smell. If you're in there, if you're locked in the cell yourself, especially when the disciplinary cells are 23-hour lockdown, you're going to get used to the smell. You're not going to smell the shit. You're going to get used to the food. It's not until after you get out, because I was in there for like 2 years, 2+ years. Then you take your first taste like a Carl's Jr. burger. They nothing like that. It's like it's just the salt hits you and everything hits you. It's like they do not season food that well. Not even salt and pepper changes it by much, although that's a very popular item in Commissary. So like I was saying, unless you have people that care about you, unless you have people that love you, that are going to put money on your commissary if you're in jail, you're not going to be able to buy peanut butter, you're not going to be able to buy, right? In a lot of places, they have more authentic, legitimate kosher trays. It's not just the kind of makeshift thing they had put together while I was there, where the kosher tray is stew in the evening and peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a tortilla for bread, which was a good thing for me because that peanut butter, but it would have been even better if instead of peanut butter, I had gotten like nutrition shakes, because I wanted protein, high protein. Peanut butter has it, but that comes with a lot of carbs too. And so that, they would have been a lot better for me just to have very, very high, but I was doing a lot of exercise. And that's what it led to the hernia. So we got it into that right balance where I was keeping the weight very stable. And the weight gain that it was because I was putting on a lot of muscle, not only biceps and triceps, but core muscle and six-pack. I was getting a little bit of a six-pack, but they took me to the mental ward, force drugged me with Haldol, another story that I tell in Come Back of the Century. You can buy that book. And that they say, it's weight neutral or it doesn't cause weight gain. Yes, it does, because of what it does to you and slow you down and reduce your volition to exercise, which is precisely what we saw as we just kind of waited out. You get back to the jail, and at that point they have what's called the DOR order, but so they actually have to drug you inside of the jail. These nurses have to come in and the deputies have to hold you down. So if you don't want to just bend your ass over to have psychiatric drugs stuck inside of you. But at Nye County, because of how they are, there's different levels of enforcement for things across the country. That at the Nye County Detention Center, I was able to refuse it, and the deputies would not, really enforce that DOR. So in practice, places to place, it's always very different, which was very good because I didn't put on more weight, and I was able to be lucid. And when you're on these medications, it slows you down. It's horrible. So I was able to be lucid. I was able to be part of the court proceedings and actually be competent enough to negotiate a way out of there. It was a horrible situation, and that's the problem with not having a speedy trial and them using a tactic like that to keep you inside of a jail just because we don't want him out there spinning like a wheelchair and succeeding in life for whatever reason. And they shouldn't be able to. I'm going to do the research, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit, but it's not that way in San Diego either. It's just not. Okay, say, because I've used this as the example, that I end up doing something like grabbing someone, however, bro or friendly that it is, that might have had, his wife kind of walking by, and they were not tourists, but they were locals that were kind of playing tourist in the East Village area. I started telling him the things that I've been talking in my previous videos about, like, I need to be brought into a rich family. I need to, because we're these disintegrated puzzle pieces. How do you find your way back in? I needed my own casita and I need, I do your housekeeping for you. I'll wash your clothes. I'll, spray Pine Sol on everything, whatever it is. I need to be living in somewhere much more beautiful. I need to be away from these ugly people that just lower the quality of my experience. And when I'm around more attractive people like you, when I'm around richer people like you, when I'm in communities, especially if they're gated communities, of people that are winning and not losing like us, life is worth living. And so I start saying these things. I say them fast. I'm not, being heebie-jeebie, which is what the psychiatrists mistake for competence. You have to say things fast. For instance, in court, but more importantly with city council testimony, like maybe I'll put up some of the video here, like when I was testifying in the Bill 46 issue in Honolulu, something very near and dear to me about keeping public information and about stringer photography. You're given 1 minute. You get 1 minute and then cut the mic. If you're not one of the pertinent players, you're just someone from the public that gets 1 minute to speak. If you don't pack enough in there, if you don't choose carefully what you're going to talk about, they cut your mic and you've said nothing and you've just done all this pre-disabling for something you're going to get to. And that's what most people do. That's the mistake most people make when they have 1 minute of time. And the truth is, it can't be done in a minute. It just can't be done in a minute. But you have to try to get something out there. So you got to go in strategically with, here's what I need to say and just come right out with it. And then, it's called the inverted pyramid style, like in journalism. So, it's not that but the psychiatrists say if the person's slower, they take one look at that and they have no clue the speed at which court moves. They have no clue the speed at which conversations with public defenders have to go. But the truth in San Diego, I'm sure, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, put it in the comments, is that you're not going to get a jury trial if you're arrested by, San Diego police downtown. You're not going to be given a jury trial within 72 hours or within a week, and you can't make bail, and they say you've assaulted this guy, and he's a complete liar. He overreacted. They should seat a jury immediately, because it's not fair to you. You're someone looking for a job. You're someone that has every right to try to talk to people and say, do this for me. That's what you should do. When you're homeless, when you're in a situation like this, that you're not going to get a jury trial in 48 hours. Now, in practice, in metropolitan areas versus other areas that are a little more backward because they can be, the DA is going to look at it and they're going to say, or the prosecutor's office is going to look at it and they're going to say, well, it's going to function kind of that way. Okay, we're going to just release the person on their own recognizance because it's not fair to him that he's not going to be able to face trial yet. So then we'll schedule his trial date or his preliminary date to how we're going to handle this. And then they'll just drop it because they're looking at it and just reality, this is stupid. And it turns out, yes, they're looking at the facts of the case from the police investigation. I'm sure a jury would just say, that guy overreacted, this is not an assault of any kind. But you can't leave that to the prosecutors. You can't leave that to the people whose job it is, to the letter of the law, to put bad people away. They just so happen to look at it and say, I think this is something we want to make a public example. They're calling up the media, but the jury hasn't seen it yet. Let's see what the jury has to say. They should see the jury within 48 hours, not 2.5 years, and then, okay, let's make the whole thing go away. And we're fine with it now. No felony to show for it. It's like Donald Trump, New York felony. Not that it's a good thing in terms of getting work and all of that, but it's just like, where's the trial? I'm one of these people that was in the reporter world. I'm one of these people that liked following court news and would just show up at a court to practice. How would I write this story? And when I was in Hawaii, and so just like, where's all the drama? Where's this side, that side? Where's the jury? Where's the looking at the jury and the stuff you'd hear on Fox News about if the jury looks at the person when they're being returned and or the prisoner's coming out and sitting next to the defense lawyer. If the jury looks at the person before we're going to read the verdict, you can kind of know that it's going to be not guilty. If the jury doesn't look at the person, then it's very likely the person's guilty because they just can't look at the person. They're going to do this too. But where is any of that? Nothing to show for it. So we're back to my shit, because this is what it's about. That I have to be taking really good hearty shits. And so the point I was making was that if we've got people that care about me, Donald Trump said, protect the downside so the upside will take care of itself. And I don't think we should think the worst, but I'm always someone that's like, you prepare for the worst. Like I was saying in my videos about a calculus textbook, if I don't have enough people in my life that if I were to go to jail again, for instance, in a situation like that where I'm out there trying to shake hands, get my hands on people for the first time in my life, like I was supposed to be able to, I'm still too slow, it's heebie-jeebie. People wrestle me to the ground because I'm just too awkward. This is someone that shouldn't have those values. But in the process of doing that and getting roughed up by these people, that's how you develop the speed. That's how you develop that. But nowadays, everybody's call the police, call the police, call the police. This guy's trying to rape my wife or something. No, I'm trying to get into your casita. Didn't have a casita. Exactly. So go to jail. But in a situation like that, the fact that I don't have anyone that's going to send me a calculus textbook, you see me expanding on these ideas and talking about things, is a problem. So part of putting this video out, just like writing the book Comeback of the Century, is to put that team of people together that are going to care about me and do something like that for me if, in the worst case, like Donald Trump said, protect the downside so the upside will take care of itself. Because what is the upside? In doing that, in kind of preparing for the worst that way, you make sure by creating this social network that you're not going to end up in jail. And on top of that, because now you've got the social network, you can learn all of this stuff, connect with these learning materials, and make sure that you're getting the nutrition, since we're going to be training for the LA Marathon and getting there in 2027. So we avoid jail and complete the marathon. by connecting with these people that would, since they love you enough, in the worst case scenario that we're going to avoid, send you a calculus textbook and put enough money on your commissary because you're so important that you can be taking good hearty shits and clogging that toilet up.